First question I am going to ask is define JavaScript, Python, C++, Rust, C, Go, TypeScript and Swift. ChatGPT defined type and common use of every language I mentioned. I asked same question to Bart's Gemini. Gemini defined types, strengths, weaknesses, use cases of every language. Next I want to create a table showing their differences. ChatGPT created a really good table summarizing differences. It covered paradigm, typing system, use, memory safety, concurrency model, ecosystem, web dev and dev tools. Gemini could not complete this follow-up question, so I had to write the full question again, but still it could not generate a proper table. Define JavaScript arrays. ChatGPT provided code examples of how you can use arrays inside JavaScript. Gemini explained JavaScript's array in the same way with code examples. It even provided the useful related links. Now let's see what's their favorite programming language. ChatGPT provided Hello World example in Python. Gemini also provided example in Python. Then I asked them to define JavaScript's for each array method. ChatGPT provided its syntax, code example and even the output. Gemini first provided syntax, then defined its parameters, features, benefits. Then it provided multiple examples with their outputs, which is really good. Then I asked to define 10 JavaScript array methods. ChatGPT gave information about for each, map, filter, find, reduce, index of, splice, push, pop and slice methods. Gemini also provided information in the same way, but I also expected code examples. So now ChatGPT provided code examples of different JavaScript array methods. Gemini also provided code examples in a short way. Then I asked them to create a simple React component. Gemini seems excited. It created a greeting component, a counter component, and a to-do list component. ChatGPT created a really simple component. Then it gave an example of how we can use this component in another component. Now to level up, I asked them to create a complex React component. ChatGPT created a class component to increase and decrease counter. Gemini did not create a component. It asked about further details about what we want to achieve. Create a list of different React hooks. Gemini listed out state management hooks, then hooks related to data fetching and subscriptions, UI and accessibility, and other useful hooks. ChatGPT gone a step ahead and it provided code example of each React hook. Let's see if they can convert this JavaScript code to Python. Both ChatGPT and Gemini successfully converted the code. Now let's see if they can convert the same code to C++. This time also Gemini and ChatGPT converted the code. Now can they convert the code to some new languages? They both converted the code, but Gemini used var keyword and ChatGPT used val keyword for Kotlin. So I tested online the code of ChatGPT and also of Gemini. They both work perfectly. Let's convert the same code to very famous Rust language. Both have done good job. I have not used let in this JavaScript code. Let's see if they can find the mistake. ChatGPT recommends to use a variable, but Gemini could not find a mistake. In this React component, I have not used return keyword. Let's see if they can find mistake. ChatGPT found the missing return statement. Gemini also found it. Find a mistake in this React component. H should be capital here. Gemini also found the mistake and gave the additional suggestion. Then I asked them to improve a JavaScript code. ChatGPT suggested use of let keyword and the use of template literals. Gemini suggested using array.from, .map and .forEach method. Let's compare CSS Flexbox versus Grid. ChatGPT provided use cases, key properties and code examples for both CSS Flexbox and Grid. Gemini provided strength and weaknesses but did not provide code examples. Create a custom CSS input component. ChatGPT provided an example in HTML. I even copied this example in VS Code and it ran in browser, but Gemini only provided some steps to achieve the desired result. Create a custom CSS input component in React. ChatGPT again provided whole example. I used this component and it looked like this. Gemini also provided a very simple React component example and it looked like this. Create a to-do list React component. GPT as usual provided full example. This is example it provided. We can add the items. Gemini also provided a React code example. Here also we can add the items. What is latest React version? ChatGPT has knowledge only up to January 2023. So it gave an answer of React 18. Gemini has current date knowledge. So it gave correct answer of 18.2. Can they draw an SVG image? GPT provided SVG example. Let's try to render this SVG. So ChatGPT created this really good looking smiley SVG. Gemini was not able to perform this task. Can it create a complex SVG for a settings icon? GPT provided an example. It only created a half settings icon. This time Gemini provided an example. Let's try it. It created a really large icon, but it do not even look like a settings icon. Now I am going to ask some basic level programming questions. Calculate the sum of two numbers. ChatGPT gave an example in JavaScript. Gemini solved it in a mathematical way. Find the square root of a number. ChatGPT again provided JavaScript code example. Gemini did not answer it properly. It asked for a specific number of which we want to find the square root. Check if a number is even or odd. Okay, great. Gemini again didn't provide any example, so I specifically asked to give example in JavaScript. Now I want to try their skills in Python. Convert Fahrenheit to Celsius in Python. ChatGPT even provided a formula for this and a Python code. Gemini also provided a Python code and a formula. Swap two variables without using a third variable. GPT used a Python technique called packing and unpacking. Check if a given year is leap year in Python. Gemini's code example contains comments. ChatGPT also gave a simple example. Write a program to generate Fibonacci series in Python. ChatGPT first used an array and then used while loop to append this array. Gemini could not answer. Reverse a string in Python. GPT gave two examples, one using slicing and other using reverse and join. Gemini provided three examples, first by using slicing, second by using loop, and third by using built-in functions like reverse and join. Find the largest element in an array in Python. ChatGPT used built-in max function in the first example and for loop in the second example. Gemini first used a built-in max function, then it used loop, and then it used list comprehension. Calculate the factorial of a number. Gemini's code example has lots of comments and it even provided a link for further reading. Determine if a string is palindrome. In first example, ChatGPT used slicing and in the second example it used two pointers method. Gemini provided three examples, one with the string slicing comparison, another with loop, and last one is using built-in functions. This one is an interesting problem. Implement a basic calculator with addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. GPT simply created function for add, subtract, multiply and divide. Gemini widely used if-else conditions. Count the number of vowels in a string. GPT created a string for all vowels in capital and small letter. Then it used for loop to solve this. Gemini in first example solved it in the same way as GPT. Then it used list comprehension and after that built-in function count. Find the smallest common multiple of two numbers. GPT provided a formula for LCM, then solved it in Python. In first example, Gemini solved it using if-else condition and while loop. In second example, it used math.gcd function. Remove duplicates from an array. In first example, ChatGPT converted array to set to remove duplicates. In second example, it used a unique array to fill in only unique elements. Gemini as usual is always providing three examples. In the first it used set, and in the second it used unique array, and in the third it used list comprehension. Now I am going to cover questions related to data structures and algorithms. I asked them to implement a simple stack. ChatGPT successfully implemented a stack in Python. Gemini also implemented the stack in the same way. Implement a queue. GPT also implemented the queue just like stack. Gemini also used Python to implement queue. Check if a number is prime. Gemini first used a naive loop approach, then it used optimized loop approach. In last it used Python's simply library to use its isPrime function. GPT gave a very simple example and it used math's is_square_root function. Find the intersection of two arrays. GPT first solved this problem using sets and then it used list comprehension. Gemini first solved this problem using list comprehension and sets. Then it used nested loops and after that it used the pandas library. Rotate an array to the right by k steps. GPT used slicing to solve this. Gemini also used list slicing and modulo operator. Then it solved using reversed list slicing and after that collections.dequeue. Now implement very basic binary search. Gemini used two approaches. First is recursive approach and second is iterative approach. ChatGPT only provided single example of iterative approach. Implement linear search. Gemini first used loop, then used list comprehension. GPT only used list comprehension. Write a program to find the missing number in an array. This is how ChatGPT solved it. Gemini always giving so many examples. First it used set, then it used some formula, then it used SOR. Now implement a linked list. ChatGPT implemented a singly linked list using nodes. Gemini provided a really long example of linked list. Implement a basic sorting algorithm like bubble sort or insertion sort. GPT only provided example of bubble sort. Gemini provided examples of both bubble sort and insertion sort. Merge two sorted arrays. GPT used three while loops to solve this. Gemini solved it in a single while loop. Implement a basic hash table. GPT implemented the insert and search methods for a hash table. Gemini gave a really long example of hash table and it used set, get, and delete methods. Now let's ask them to solve some intermediate level problems. ChatGPT used a sliding window technique to solve it. Gemini interestingly used a brute force approach. Then it also used a sliding window approach and also used a hash table approach. Implement quicksort. GPT used a divide and conquer strategy. Gemini also solved it using partition and a sort helper function. Check if a string is an anagram of another string. GPT solved it pretty easily. Gemini used the counter method of collections library and after that it used the sorted characters method. Determine the frequency of each character in a string. ChatGPT ChatGPT used dictionary data type to solve it. Gemini also used dictionary in first example, then it used the collections.counter method. After that, it used comprehension. Find the intersection point of two linked lists. Gemini solved it using hashing, and after that, it used two-pointer approach. ChatGPT also solved it using list nodes, implement a binary tree and perform an in-order traversal. They both solve it in simple manner. In the same way, determine if a binary tree is balanced. GPT checked the heights of left and right subtrees to solve it. Gemini first used recursive approach with height calculation, then it used a flag variable and post-order traversal. Write a function to calculate the nth Fibonacci number. GPT used a bunch of if-else condition and range. Gemini solved it using recursion, and after that it used memoization, and after that it used an iterative approach. Implement depth first search on a graph. GPT used adjacency list to solve it. Gemini solved it using recursive approach and stack-based approach. Implement breadth first search on a graph. GPT used Q and DQ to solve it. Gemini first solved it using Q, then it solved using DQ. Calculate the factorial of a number using recursion. This is how Gemini solved it. ChatGPT also provided a really simple example using recursion. Implement a priority queue. GPT used heap queue module to solve it. Gemini also used heap queue module, and after that it has used custom heap class. Now for upcoming questions, let's compare them side by side. Check if a linked list has a cycle. GPT used list nodes, and Gemini first used a hash table, and after that it used a two pointers method using Floyd's cycle detection algorithm. Okay, this is hard. I asked them to solve Dijkstra's algorithm. ChatGPT solved it pretty easily using heap queue, but Gemini do not have enough information about this. Reverse words in a given string. Gemini used list and string concatenation, after that loop and slicing, and after that collection.dq. ChatGPT implemented in-order traversal. Gemini also solved it using the same way. Okay, this is a lengthy question. Determine if a string is a valid palindrome considering only alphanumeric characters. ChatGPT used a bunch of while loops to solve it. After that, solved it using string manipulation and two pointers method. Find the longest common prefix in an array of strings. Gemini used brute force, after that sorting and comparison, and after that divide and conquer approach. ChatGPT kind of hanged again, so I asked it again in a new chat. It solved it in a pretty simple way. My next question to both of them is implement a simple caching system. ChatGPT implemented this using dictionary and memoization. Gemini first used a dictionary, then it used a library called TTL cache. Check if a binary tree is a binary search tree. ChatGPT checked using in-order traversal to check if it is a binary search tree. Gemini first used a recursive approach, then after that it used an in-order traversal approach. I have read this term first time. Implement the toy function, convert a string to an integer. ChatGPT solved it using a bunch of while loops and if statements. Gemini's example was also very similar to ChatGPT. Determine if a number is a power of 2. ChatGPT gave a few lines of example. Gemini as usual first used a modulo operator to solve it, then it used a bitwise AND operator, and after that it used a built-in function. Find the first non-repeating character in a string. Gemini used a dictionary, after that a collections.counter, and after that a two pointers using a Boyer-Moore string search algorithm. ChatGPT solved it using a dictionary. Implement the str function, that is substring search. ChatGPT solved it interestingly using a haystack and a needle example. Gemini also used the example of haystack and needle. First it solved it using find method, then after looping with the string comparison, then KMP algorithm. Rotate an n by n matrix by 90 degrees. This was a matrix problem and ChatGPT solved it using a very simple example. Gemini used two approaches. First is transpose and swap, and second is in-place rotation. Implement an algorithm to find the shortest path in a maze. This seemed like a hard problem and ChatGPT solved it using breadth first search or Dijkstra's algorithm. Gemini also used breadth first search, and after that Dijkstra's algorithm. Count the number of set bits in a binary representation of a number, and Gemini apologized. Find the median of two sorted arrays. The code examples of both Gemini and ChatGPT were similar. Implement a stack that supports push, pop, top, and retrieving the minimum element in constant time. This time also both ChatGPT and Gemini successfully solved this problem. It's time to ask some advanced level data structure and algorithm questions. Implement a try, that is a prefix tree. ChatGPT provided a simple implementation of try. Gemini also implemented a simple try. Serialize and deserialize a binary tree. ChatGPT gave a long example. Gemini with pre-ordered traversal with markers first serialized the binary tree, then it deserialized it. After that it used level order traversal to serialize and deserialize the binary tree. I also read about this search algorithm first time. Implement the A-star search algorithm. Gemini told that A-star search algorithm is a powerful algorithm for finding the shortest path in a graph with weighted edges. Then it used heap pop and heap push method of heap queue to solve it. ChatGPT also used heap pop and heap push methods of heap queue. Determine if a Sudoku is valid. ChatGPT interestingly first created a Sudoku board and then it solved it. Gemini solved it using looping with set comparison. After that, using sets and dictionaries, and then recursive validation. Implement the Boyer mode string search algorithm. Both ChatGPT and Gemini solved the Boyer mode string search algorithm. Find the kth smallest largest element in an array. ChatGPT provided both examples for finding kth smallest element and finding kth largest element. Gemini solved it using a very simple example. First, it solved it using sorting, then it solved it using minimum heap for kth smallest, and after that, quick select for both kth smallest and largest. Implement an algorithm for finding all possible subsets of a set. Gemini solved it using backtracking, then after that bit manipulation. ChatGPT solved it using backtracking algorithm. Implement the Floyd-Warshall algorithm for all pairs shortest paths. Both implemented Floyd-Warshall algorithm. Implement the Nut Morris spread string search algorithm. This is how they both solved the KMP string search algorithm. For the next 10 questions, I will ask them to only implement the algorithms. Implement the Kargar's algorithm for minimum cut in a graph. Gemini used a Python library choice to implement this algorithm. ChatGPT also used this same exact library to implement this algorithm. Implement the Rabin-Karp string search algorithm. Both successfully implemented it. Implement the Ford-Fulkerson algorithm for maximum flow. Both ChatGPT and Gemini use dequeue method from collection library to implement this. Implement the Bellman-Ford algorithm for single source shortest paths. This time also they both solved the Bellman-Ford algorithm. Implement the Primes algorithm from minimum spanning tree. They both used heap pop and heap push to implement it. Implement the Kruskal's algorithm for minimum spanning tree. ChatGPT this time solved it gracefully, but Gemini used the heap queue methods. Implement the Gill-Shapley algorithm for stable marriage problem. Gemini implemented the Gill-Shapley algorithm for finding a stable matching in stable marriage. ChatGPT first gave example of man and woman matrices and then it solved it. Implement the Aho-Karasik algorithm for string matching. ChatGPT solved it with a really long example. Gemini told me that it do not have enough information. Implement the Huffman coding algorithm. Gemini used counter function of collection library to implement it, and ChatGPT used both heap queue and a collection library. Implement the Floyd cycle finding algorithm. Finally, both ChatGPT and Gemini implemented this algorithm.